Shannon, would a Jimmy Johnson-style coach work for the Cowboys?
It would work for everyone except Jerry. And that's the only one that matters, Skip Bayless. You and I both know this. There's no lead that's ever going back to be a backup singer. Jerry's the lead now, Skip. He likes this. That's one of the reasons he got Jimmy up out of there. Jimmy had too much control. Jerry still owned the team. But people didn't talk about Jerry like they talk about Jerry now, Skip. The other guys was able to have their person. He drowns out everybody. It was Jimmy. And then Michael had his personality. Emmett and Troy. Don't talk about nobody. It's Jimmy. I mean, excuse me, it's Jerry. Skip, I've never seen anything like it. In my 14 years of playing and being around this game for almost 30 years now, I've never seen anything like Jerry. Where the reporters don't rush to hear what the quarterback or the star running back or the star of the game have to say.
That is true.
They wait for the owner to hear what he has to say. They huddle around him. I've never seen anything like this. And Troy is absolutely right. You need one voice. And it needs to be the voice that's resonating that comes out of that locker room, which is the head coach. I played for a guy in Mike Shanahan that was like that. It was his voice. I'm sure Mr. B had his thoughts, but we didn't hear about those. He and Mike worked that out. But it was Mr. B come in the locker room, skip after the game, but Mr. B wasn't addressing the team. In my 2 years in Baltimore, Art Modell spoke one time in front of the team in the locker room.
Really?
It was after the Super Bowl. He said, guys, you made me proud. He said, I'll never forget this day.
One time.
What you've done for me, I'll never forget. That's given 2 years now. I'm not saying what he did before I got there or after I left, but I'm saying in my 2 years, Mr. B, in my 12 years, I can't recall Mr. B speaking in the locker room after a game. I can't.
I've seen Robert Kraft speak occasionally, but it's only in extreme celebratory moments.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
But, Skip, talking about an injury, talking about who go play and who's doing this and who's doing that's not normal, Skip.
He is the GM, but it wouldn't even be normal for most GMs.
No, exactly. But Jerry looks at it like this, Skip. It's like, hold on. You say you want to cook the groceries. I'm buying the groceries. So if I'm buying them, I'm going to tell you what the hell to cook. So Jerry says, if I'm signing all the checks, you best believe I'm going to have say. I'm going to have a lot of say. And therein lies the problem, Skip. Skip, I think Jerry is an unbelievable. No, you won't hear players say a bad word about. Think about this, Skip. Troy, Emmett, Michael, he cut them all. But they'll vouch for him. He introduced all of them at the Hall of Fame.
He did.
Gil Brandt, he fired Gil Brandt the day he got there. Guess who spoke? Guess who Gil Brandt presenter was, Skip Bayless?
Trust me, he had no use for Gil Brandt when he fired him. No use.
And who was his presenter? Who was Gil Brandt's presenter?
Well, because Gil asked, and Jerry said, well, I'll take that spotlight.
Thank you.
I'll be on national TV.
But for me, Skip, Jerry's never going back to this. He's never, Skip. He's enjoyed too much. He enjoyed too much of the limelight this way. Like I said, Lionel Richie is never going back to the Commodores. Justin Timberlake is never going back to NSYNC. That like being solo, Skip. I'm out front.
Okay,
why would I go back?
This lead singer won't even harmonize.
No.
Because you can choose to harmonize, have two lead singers.
Skip, I don't remember. I forget what it was, Skip. But they had all of the divas up there. They had Mariah, they had Aretha, they had Patti LaBelle, they had all of them. They had Christina Aguilera, and everybody was trying to one up.
Of course.
Aretha said, "I'm the queen here, baby." Ain't nobody one up in the queen.
I saw it. That's true.
So Jerry's like,
that's how it should have been.
Skip. Yep. Jerry said ain't nobody about the king, and then nobody's going to upstage Jerry in his castle.
Picturing Jerry
and that's
singing.
Jerry's castle.
Okay. So before I launch into what Troy said, and it was interesting and true what he said, that it would be the right way to go.
Right.
This is my worst case scenario about Jerry Jones. This is my worst nightmare about the guy I said earlier, is there a way to impeach him? Because there are times I feel like Jerry is getting a little football senile at age 77, where I'm starting to, he start to lose touch. He's losing touch with me because I think he's losing touch with it.
Right.
Because once upon a time, Jerry Jones, as the owner GM, was shrewdly stubborn. He was stubborn as you'll ever find, but he was shrewdly stubborn. And a lot of times his stubbornness paid off.
Right.
But now it's starting to feel like crazy old coot stubborn, you know, where you're just stubborn for stubborn's sake.
Yeah.
And you're just digging in when the whole world says, Jerry, it's obviously time to part ways with your son, Jason Garrett. all the best reporters are reporting it's a done deal, he's gone. And Jerry's saying, no, watch this. Because he can. Because he always gets away with it, and they'll still watch next year, and they'll still fill those seats.
Of the 10 big most watched games, how many was Cowboys, Skip? 5, 6?
I mean.
And it'll be that way next year.
80,000 show up?
I know it. They had historic offensive numbers, so on that alone, Jerry can sell that going into next year, right?
Yes.
We had an historic offense. Yeah, you're 8-8. You got the same coach again. So remember, I did cover those teams that Troy's talking about. I'm going to make 2 quick points here. Number one, Jimmy Johnson did not have final say. He presented himself that way to the football team, and they believed with heart and soul that he did have, but he did not have final say. As Jerry always told me for the books I wrote about that team that we're talking about, Al Davis taught him his first year as an owner in 1989, you have to learn to coach the coach. That's how Al did business. But Al was a football man, and Al was really good at what he did.
Al was actually a football coach at one point.
I know, he actually coached at a high level.
He did.
Okay, and was very successful. So in the early years of Jimmy and Jerry, all the personnel moves Jerry had to sign off on.
Right.
And I still give Jerry huge credit. He was the one who went out and got Charles Haley.
Yes.
He was the catalyst for all those Super Bowls. He pulled it off. He stole him from what was going to become their arch rival in the NFC, the 49ers, because the 49ers had said more trouble than he's worth. We just want to give him away. And so they gave him away to the wrong team.
Exactly.
Because it came back to haunt them.
You got to put him in the AFC.
You got to put him in the AFC. Yeah, that was Carmen Policy was the guy who executed that maneuver, and that really hurt that franchise.
Yes.
So the point was, even on the drafts, Jimmy sat in the key chair, but every draft move he made, he had to turn to Jerry and say, you good with this? And sometimes Jerry said, no, it doesn't feel right to me. So he had final say on draft day and of all the key personnel moves. So don't tell me you had final say.
Right.
But to your point, Jerry didn't do post-game press conferences. Right. And he didn't give the appearance that he was in charge until he fired Jimmy Johnson.
Correct.
Right? He let Jimmy have the appearance to the world.
Right.
I'm in charge of this football team. And Troy and Michael and Emmett, they thought, boy, he's got the last word.
And he presented it.
He did.
And they bought Skip.
They bought it. And it was fine. It
And
was
that's
great.
all you
It
need,
worked.
Skip. They got to believe. Nobody believed Jason Garrett on that lock, Skip, that 53 man. Nobody believed Jason Garrett has any say.
Nobody. I totally agree. And there's no fear factor there. They don't fear failure because they just think, we'll just go with Jerry. You know, he's not.
Yeah, of course, Skip. The guy that's opening the checks. Look, I understand that when I said, Mike, you know, we really want to watch the fight. I understand Mike can say, yeah, but he's still got to kill that. That's Mr. Bowler's money.
Yep.
Mike ain't coming out of his own pocket.
That is true. So I got to remind everyone that Jerry did give up total control, it appeared, to another Jimmy Johnson named Bill Parcells, who you could argue was an even more successful Jimmy Johnson, right?
Right.
And why did that not work? It looked like it was going to work for a while until Jerry decided, I need somebody I can sell here. I need another marquee figure. I need T.O. I need Terrell Owens, who I used to call Team Obliterator. And here he came, and Bill Parcells said, no, I don't want him, and refused to even speak his name to the media, right?
Call him the player.
And it degenerated to, remember Terrell on the bicycle at training camp, playing Lance Armstrong, if we could see that? This is how bad it got. There's Terrell. This is at training camp. And he is clowning Bill Parcells by saying, oh, you want me out here hurt? I'll sit on the exercise bike like Lance Armstrong, right?
Not a good look.
Okay, it was the end of everything. It just blew that whole franchise apart because of that guy.
Right, and guess what? T.O. knew, even though Parcells didn't like it, he had somebody in his back pocket that had more power than Parcells.
You got
that was the owner.
Okay.
So, and that's the problem in Dallas now. Jason Garrett, and go to Jerry. I'd have never thought I had a disagreement with Mike, or Mike did something that I didn't think was, that I'm gonna go to Mr. B. Mike, they got rid of that. First of all, the cameras, because he like, Shannon, what you doing upstairs, and you're not going to come to see me or one of the offensive coaches. So you going behind my back, he gonna get me up out of there to begin with. So that was a no-no.
Yep.
Nobody
I've told you before, I'm intrigued because I have a lot of respect for Urban Meyer, what he did in college football, wildly successful at 3 stops.
Yep.
And yet, after I sleep on it, I think, well, how much of Urban's soul would he sell to coach for Jerry Jones? Probably not enough.
No.
In the end, when he really studied it, he had the quote on Colin's show, what was it, a month or so ago?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'd listen to America's team. How could you not?
Gotta take the call.
Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, who obviously
Listen.
coached it.